Good evening, everybody. I am Gail Weiss, the chairman of the Finance Committee, and I'm welcoming you tonight for our presentation going through the slides, Budget Information Center for Town Meeting on Monday, May 4th. We're going to start off by introducing ourselves because we do have to open up our meeting. I'm Gail Weiss, the chair.
Lindsay McCarthy.
Bernie Parada.
Dan Campbell.
Okay, first, so we're just going to go through this by the articles. And
You ready?
Yep, anytime.
Oh,
We need a vote to open the meeting?
no.
Dan? I mean,
No,
do we
we
open?
don't have to open the meeting. You just open.
No, we don't need
Just
to
call
vote.
it to order.
Okay.
You only vote when you
Oh, time. Time is what, 6:01 p.m.? Okay. Okay. Okay, first, we're going to be doing something called consent articles. And they are articles that are typically from year to year, pretty much the same, pretty much unanimously passed. I think Article 1 itself is the consent article, if I'm not mistaken. Oh yeah, number 1 is waiving the warrant, as we typically do. 2 is the consent article that we're working on. 3 is the report of the boards. 4 is the town accepting grants and being able to expend them. And number 5 is revolving funds with expense limits. And number 20 is our OPEB article, which we typically put funds in. I believe it's $100,000 this year, which is what we've been doing, the past 10, 15 years or so. So those are all, and at town meeting floor, if anybody really wants to pull one of those aside, they can make a motion to pull them out of the consent article. So if there's any questions.
Do you want to invite them to come here if they have questions?
Yeah, and if anybody has questions, please go to the X, state your name and your street.
And your question.
And your question. Okay. We'll be doing everything as groups. Operating, which are our budgets, it's basically 2 articles, sewer and EMS. Capital, our capital articles, and other, which is CPA, some bylaws, in our fire department, reorganizing, or not reorganizing, but that. Okay, so our 27 budget approach, Finance Committee had a number of meetings. We met with all the boards and everybody, and we take it as a conservative approach. We look at everybody. We have a wide range of people living in this town. We have kids with families. We have the seniors who are pretty much on fixed incomes. And we try to be as reasonable as possible and try not to increase too much. We kept salaries conservative at 2.8%. As always, we try to use free cash for our articles, for our capital. We scrutinize new requests, and Bob, the only person we're adding on is $22,000 for a meals assistant in our Council on Aging, which is constantly increasing. Right now, 1/3 of our population is seniors. And then we actually deferred some requests for some capital. Highway wanted a UTV, transfer station for $38,000. We only have so much free cash. There's a chance that a couple of these requests will be brought up in the fall if we still need it. And then we are continuing saving for our capital stabilization account. That's where our capital items, especially our larger purchases, such as dump trucks, fire trucks, come out of, maybe matching some smaller ones. And then we try as best as we can to minimize the impact on the tax rate. Our fiscal year runs from July 1 through June 30th. We're not on a calendar year, we're on a fiscal year. I know it confuses everybody. The 26 omnibus budget was $4,828,618.
And that's this year.
That's this year.
527 is next.
The budget we voted on, we're supporting is 5172682. The increase is $344,064 or 6.7%. Of that, over 80% was 369, and they are pretty much our uncontrollables. A lot of it's health insurance, assessments for our veterans, solid waste. Their costs have gone up with transportation and the types of things we bring down. Animal control is an assessment uncontrollable. FERCog nursing, another one. The assessors and tax collector have certain programs that they have to pay for, and this is everything, it all goes up. And then the other part is discretionary increases, 66,695, which we have included a senior center, part-time meals assistant, and memory cafe. From what I gather, that memory cafe has just grown and grown. And library, transfer station, highway, fire department has some discretionary police training, town hall, and elections. And those are the elections. Of course, we have our federal election in primary September and an actual election in November. And then if we have other votes, that increases the election. Any questions? Yeah, please get up.
Sam Richardson, Highland Avenue. Your job is to make recommendations
Right.
to the town.
Right.
Could you talk a little bit about the criteria used and how that process works?
Mostly, we have everybody come in. They have line item budgets. We go through them. Most of them are level funded, except the places they need increases, and a lot of it is fuel, technology, repairs, and we usually go through that. And the other part is the looking at adding personnel, because if you go over a certain amount, we also have to factor in health insurance and other benefits. It did not happen this year where we had to look at those type of costs. So it's just basically looking at the budget and looking where there is savings. I know some of the departments switched around shifts and things to help with savings in personnel. So, I mean, that's the criteria we are recommending. We cannot tell them how to spend their money. So if we find a line that's just crazy, we can recommend that they take it out, but they can still go ahead and spend it and spend their money on something else. So we just recommend and just review and some back and forth, and that's about it.
And we also tried to keep Colette 2.8.
Oh, yeah, and the COLA at 2.8, we kept it,
Very
even with the realization, our employees pay a share of the health insurance, and their employee checks are going down. So we're trying to do something. I know it doesn't fully recognize that cost, but we did do the, yeah.
Thank you. Patricia Kinsella, 164 Upper Farms Road. I'm speaking in my personal capacity. Could you please talk about the process the town used to decide to stay in the Hampshire County Group Insurance Trust, that is the current health insurance provider for the town? I would note, I will finish my question.
I'm sorry.
I would note that the towns of Bernardston and Leiden and FERCog and Franklin Tech and the Pioneer District all chose to leave. And if I'm not mistaken, the town's health insurance and benefits line went up either 16 or 21% in the proposed budget. So I'm curious about the decision-making process to stay.
Yeah, that's really not under purview. That's
not our purview.
That's not our purview.
Sorry, but you're making a recommendation
Yeah.
for an article, so I'm asking for someone to provide information.
I'll let Andrea speak to it.
Come on over to the mic.
So the town did various things. We contacted Maya, which is also another provider for health insurance, and asked them for a quote. So we reviewed that. The town looked at the current expenses, and the town looked at and evaluated. Now, I work with the treasurer on this. The treasurer is the benefits coordinator. So she's really the one that runs a lot of the numbers. She does the calculation. We broke it out by employee, employee type, retiree, retiree type. And we did the calculations based on each group, and then we multiplied it out. Now, this previous year was a huge increase during the year. The town voted last year for a 20% increase, and then during the middle of the year, they upped it. The Hampshire County Group upped another 20% or 15%. So the town actually absorbed 30+% increase in health insurance this fiscal year, because we had some money that we had budgeted. We're always very conservative, but we always budget a little bit because we have employees who don't take the health insurance but are eligible and have in the past come on the town's insurance. So we always have to kind of account for that a little bit, because if we don't, and in the middle of the year someone comes on and we don't have zero, we can't pay that bill. So between what we had budgeted and where we stood, we absorbed all of that in this year's. So the increase that you're showing not only is what they're proposing for next year, which is 12 to 13, but it's actually absorbing some of last year's increase to keep us in a safe zone. So when we evaluated the cost, and you have to be careful because there's a legacy cost. If you jump to another health insurer, they don't take, there's something called tailings. You have to cover the cost of people in those tailings for previous expenses. For example, if someone's undergoing cancer treatment and you change insurance, town is liable to keep paying for those tailings, even though the new insurer picks you up July 1. So you have to weigh, you don't just go on the new insurance because it's lower and say, woohoo, look, we saved money. We have to calculate, we have to know. So we can ask them certain questions about who's covered or what our, well, we can't ask them about who's covered, but we can ask them certain questions in terms of proposals to go forward, which we did for Maya. We had to send data to Maya. And we looked at the GIC, we broke down our categories, we calculated, but the GIC is a difficult one. You also had to be decided by, forget what the deadline was. December, you had to notify them you were joining. And we did not feel at this time, based on the numbers that we saw and the increase we were going to have to put forward, that we could justify switching insurance July 1. We also evaluated the Maya proposal, which did not come in at any great savings. It was almost identical to what we were going to pay. And it had some other drawbacks. It had some higher deductibles that we were going to have to institute. We had already made our employees absorb 75%, 25%, remember we're 25-75, 25% of that 30% increase. So we look at a 2.8% COLA. However, the employees absorbed 25% of a 30% increase on their health insurance. So we didn't make any headway on that. We also knew that we had the option to look at the GIC or Maya next year in the fall when we had more time. A lot of this came out in the fall. We felt it was a rush decision to commit to Maya that quickly without having had a chance to to the GIC. The GIC also we had some concerns. We asked some questions that we didn't feel were adequately answered to our satisfaction for our employees. So a whole lot of decisions. I met with the treasurer-collector. Treasurer-collector met with people from Maya, asked some questions of the GIC, and we had to balance all that out, and we had to balance it out on prospective cost increases to all of those. All three of them were going to go up. We just couldn't know what they all were prospectively. Now we've been able to watch that settle out this year, and now we've already made a plan, the treasurer and I, to talk in the earlier part of the fall to see if that makes sense, late summer, early fall, to reconsider our decision to stay with the GIC. But the GIC plan is a pretty good plan, and even with the increases, we couldn't see that it justified changing the health insurance at this time. We didn't see any great savings by moving to either of the other two, not based on the information that we had. Not without pushing a lot of burden onto our employees who had just had a 30% increase. So we might have been able to find a slightly cheaper plan for us. but we would have been upping their deductibles, upping all of their costs after asking them to absorb a 30% increase. So we figured we would let the dust settle. This is all relatively in the first year, and we've got another bite at the apple come fall to consider whether we want to move to one of the other two options, and there really are only two other options. So we were trying to take a conservative approach and get as much information as we could, and we did contact both of the other employers to do that.
Thank you.
Anything else on the omnibus budget? To address this education.
Okay. Article 7, okay. Article 7 is to see if the town will vote to raise an appropriate or transfer of available funds, borrow, or otherwise provide a sum for education expenses in accordance with the amount recommended by the Finance Committee as shown in the final column of the warrant, or take any other action thereto. This was the major issue that the Finance Committee had to deal with, was the schools, because of the significant increase that they were seeking for assessments and costs to our community. We had decided unanimously not to recommend the school budget. In accordance with that, the Select Board voted 3-1-1 not to recommend the budget either. That was 3 against, not recommending it, 1 was for it, and 1 abstained. The other thing is we had also consultations with our neighbors, Leiden and Bernardston, because they are members of the district. And they have also pretty much followed our direction that we're seeking, that we not to recommend the budget. Bernardston voted unanimously for their Select Board and their Finance Committee not to recommend the budget. Leiden Select Board voted not to recommend the budget, and their Finance Committee could not make a decision to recommend or not recommend the budget. We see the schools facing some serious problems. Most of the problem is the decline in student enrollment. Enrollment has declined significantly over the last 10 years especially, but it has started its decline in the 1990s. The population has been decreasing significantly, that the available students, and that is similar to all the counties surrounding us are facing the same issue, declining amounts of kids available to attend schools. The other thing too is the budget keeps increasing, yet the school population keeps declining. We feel that we are reaching near the breaking point of what we can afford. If we continue on this path, our neighbors, both of them are at their levy limits. So they are basically faced with 2 fiscal choices. Either one, they make cuts to their operational budget to town side, or they seek a 2.5 override. And I'm pretty sure most of you know that 2.5 overrides right now are not a popular issue for most communities. There's been a couple of them that have been put forward in other communities and have been rejected. The other thing too here is that we also see numbers are increasing of students, especially in the high school level, that are going to the tech school. That number has gone up substantially, and we're looking at approximately about 58 students from Northfield will be attending the tech school. So their numbers are increasing. The current senior class at the high school is only 16 that are going to be graduating. None from Leiden, 1 from Bernardston, 7 from our town, and the rest are school choice. So if the school budget is also the largest part of the town's budget that we have to finance, and we feel that there has to be some change. There has to be an acknowledgement that the resources are finite, that the town can raise to pay, and we also want to be fiscally prudent. We have a population of seniors that are increasing. We have more and more people who are struggling to pay their bills, and to support that, to recommend it, if we were to recommend the budget, you're looking at a significant increase in your property taxes. Again, we're a recommending body. we recommend, again, we do not recommend a school budget. If you choose to decide, that's the purview of you, the residents of Northfield, to decide. If you feel that our recommendation is not valid, you have every right to vote to approve the budget. But with the fact that you're going to see your taxes go up. We're trying to be responsible. And we seriously discussed this issue for hours. We have met with our neighboring communities. We have spoken with the schools. We've spoken with the school committee. And it's just, again, it's a difficult decision, but we felt it had to be made. And that. The other thing, too, is a reminder, even if Northfield votes to approve the budget, if our neighbors choose not to, that is Bernardston and Leiden, the budget goes down to defeat because it's 2/3. And then the response to that would be that come July 1st, the budget would have to be what's called a 1/12 budget. That would require the involvement of the DESE, which is Department of Education in Massachusetts, would get involved, and the budget would be 1/12 of the fiscal year 26 budget. And and then we would have to see how things would work out to try to either amend or look at an alternative budget, or do we continue on the path of the 1/12 for at least till the end of December of this year. And again, we wanted to also put the facts here of what we see of the, situation. Thanks to the prudence of the Finance Committee and the administration here, we are not as a dire situation as Bernardston and Leiden. But again, too, just because we're not as dire doesn't mean that the taxpayers are not going to be billed for this budget if the residents approve it. And again, I think we're going to have to look at various options for the future for the district. And those things are going to require all three communities to get involved, our finance committees to get involved, our select boards, and our town administrators. Because we're going to have to look at change. Change is coming. It may take time, but it's inevitable because we don't have much of a choice. Thank you.
Any questions on any of the school budgets? Okay.
Could we go to the slide before? Patricia Kinsella again. Now I'm speaking as your superintendent of schools. Okay, lot to unpack here. Thank you for your work. When folks say,
We're here for questions.
I'm talking,
not-
This is questions. This is questions. This is strictly questions.
I'm not allowed to make a comment?
No, this is
Okay.
questions
Questions,
only.
comments are for the town
Okay
meeting.
now, all right now.
Okay.
Let me rephrase it. I'm going to come to a
Questions
question.
for
I'll get there.
I mean,
Thank you.
questions.
Okay. What does the Finance Committee think will happen after July 1 if this budget fails, when I have laid off multiple staff and we possibly don't have a preschool and we have fewer athletics teams and we don't have elementary behaviorists or reading specialists, and families have decided to leave the district, which is what they have already told us will happen? Let me rephrase it. How does the Finance Committee think that will help the long-term bottom line of the town?
That was a question. That was a question.
It was a good question. That was a good question. We're not here to make
No.
suggestions of what you should do. We're just saying, I'm sorry. Oh,
You can do this from here.
sorry. We're not trying to tell you, the school district, what to do. We're just pretty much sending up a flare saying, this is the trend, and it has been that way for years. What can we do to work together to make it work for the students as well as all of the citizens of Northfield? I don't know what the answer is. What we're saying is, everybody is represented. The seniors that are on fixed incomes, the rest of the people that don't have kids in the school, whatever. But it's everybody, and the trends aren't changing. That's the thing. What can we do?
I'm going to ask that you answer it. What does you are making a recommendation not to approve the budget.
Right.
What do you think will be the long-term impact on the financial viability of our town if the budget fails and we have to cut core programs? No, that's a legitimate question, and if you're voting not to recommend the budget, you should have an answer.
What we're saying is, this is what we're seeing. Administrative looks heavy to us. I don't know. We're not telling you what to do. We're just saying we're representing everybody. We're numbers people. That's it. We're just saying this is what we're seeing. This is what we're recommending. We're not telling you what to do with it. We're just saying this is what we're seeing for everybody to be represented in this situation.
The other thing, too, is we also have to face the fact that, unfortunately, like I said, the school population has dropped significantly, yet the operational costs have continued to rise significantly. What are we going to do? Do we continue on this path for the future? And people on one side say, you know, what about our taxes? How much can we afford this? We are putting up a flare that there is a problem here. It needs to be addressed. If you don't address this issue, I mean, again, the administration of the district is up to the administration and the school committee. We do not administer the district. We don't tell them what they do with staffing. We just look at the budget. That's our responsibility. The other thing, too, is that we're also facing that our community, the students' population, will probably continue to decline. Our population is going to continue to decline. A study done by UMass, the Donahue Center, said that by 2040, this town will lose. We're at about 2,875 people currently. We're looking to be about 2,000 by 2040. The numbers are going down. We're going to see a decline in population, yet we're going to see an aging population on average and more seniors. We're telling you the facts. What you do with them is your responsibility. You are the voters. You are the town meeting members. If you just decide not to, you know, like I said, we're a recommending body. If you choose to ignore our recommendations, that's fine. We take no offense. But you're going to take responsibility for the decision.
You have a question?
Yes. Hi, Bob Henry. You want to make a road? You might want to send me to a school committee meeting, but I study the DESE website because I try to talk analytical and objectively. And I see on the DESE website that the cost per student ranges from $16,000 to like $27,000. There's even school systems where they're paying upwards of $34,000 per student. So my question is this, that I don't understand, is, and again, my intel could be wrong. That was DESE, that was objective, documented facts. This is the part that's kind of hallway chatter that I don't understand, but it's important and you might understand it. And I think the school's done a phenomenal job. I am working on a question, so bear with me. It needs a little background to make it for clarity. But I understand the school is aggressively getting students from outside the area, and I think that's great. I think they're, you know, expanding programs and stuff that make it a desired school system, which we all think is great. But what I'm hearing, I can't find objective data on this, is it basically costs about $22,000 per student to put through our school system. The fact that when we send someone to Franklin County Tech, it costs us considerably more, or we lose that whole $22,000, that part I don't understand, you know, what the loss is when we lose a student to Franklin County Tech. And the other thing I'm hearing, whether they come from Winchester or Vernon, and I don't know this for fact, that we're paying considerably less than that $22,000 that the school system needs to operate a good school. So the answer is not here within us. The answer is somewhere in the system. And that I don't have. But I think if there was a medium to solve that delta, then we'd have more of a viable school budget. Am I correct in that? But what I don't understand is the delta in these numbers and who creates these numbers. Who says that Vernon or Winchester only pays a percentage. I don't know where that comes from. And I think that's important that you have an understanding, because I clearly don't. I demonstrated that clearly.
I believe Vermont sets a limit, of what is it, around 19,000 something like.
20,900.
Thank you.
Okay. And then the other part of the equation is school choice. And school choice really hasn't changed since the 1990s. They only bring in about 5,000 a student. So, correct me if I'm wrong, it's about
I can
5.
give correct information. So
Okay.
You are correct. The State of Vermont Department of Education sets an average tuition for different levels. So high school in the southern part of the state, we are allowed, Vernon is allowed to tuition kids to Pioneer. We have a written tuition agreement. We may not charge more than what the Vermont Department of Education sets every year as their average annual tuition. So it is free money for Pioneer. So Bob, this is really important to understand. It's free money for Pioneer because, and we've doubled our Vernon tuition in the past 4 years. The number of Vernon kids has doubled. We get more or less 20 grand per kid. We can bill them for extra services. We don't add a single extra teacher. We don't pay more in our electric bill. We don't pay more in athletics coaches. When we get the money from Vernon, it reduces your assessments in terms of school choice. Totally antiquated, you are correct. The $5,000 figure is ludicrous. However, on average, we get 10 grand per kid who comes to us because our district is very attractive to families with kids with special needs from outside the district. Kids leaving our district to go to other schools via school choice who have special needs, on average, have a special ed increment that's extra payment on top of the $5,000 of $8,000. Kids who come to Pioneer via school choice who have special needs have an average special ed increment of $14,000 on top of the $5,000, so we get more of those families. Our tuition agreement with Warwick is one of the best in the state. We reviewed every single tuition agreement in existence in the state when we developed that tuition. Next year we're going to get I don't know, 19,000 or something per kid from Warwick. Plus, if the child has extraordinary special needs, we get extra for that. For Winchester, we're going to get our first student from Winchester. We're the only district in the Commonwealth that has kids from 3 different states. We're going to get about 17 something for the kids from Winchester, but we may bill Winchester for even more of the services if a student has special needs. That is extra money that reduces your assessments. It's a good thing. And in terms of per pupil expenditures on the DESE website, the most recent fiscal year for which per pupil expenditures are available is FY24. The Franklin Tech per pupil expenditure is $820 higher than the Pioneer per pupil expenditure.
I'd like to address something else here. School choice has become more and more of a issue, or you see in more and more school choice students coming from outside the district into our community. We only get the $5,000 from the state for those students. The other thing is you're looking at subsidization of that. The second problem with that is that when you take a tuition student, say from Vernon or Warwick or school choice, that does not cover the cost through the town for any capital improvements, and doesn't cover retirement of the district's employees or their health benefits. We're covering that. So the thing is that it's not like these communities are helping to offset those costs. They are not. Those are things we pay for. And the other thing is, I say this this fiscal year is tight. The reason I have a very serious concern for next fiscal year, for fiscal year 28, this fall on the ballot is a citizen initiative to cut the state income tax from 5% to 4%. If that is approved, the state is going to lose between $4.5 and $5 billion in revenue. Besides what you're looking at cuts from the federal government to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and if that initiative passes, that means you're going to see a lot of the things that we've gotten used to in state aid and assistance. is probably going to dry up. Because there's no way, how can you make up? If it was 400 or 500 million, you can maybe do cost savings. But if it's 4.5 to 5 billion, that's going to be a very bad situation. And then again, that will put even more stress on individual communities to pay for these services and if we can't pay for it, they're going to probably be cut. So I'm just telling you, we have to let you know what the situation is coming. And you have to realize I'm not trying to be, gloomy, doom and gloom, but it's facts. These things are a problem. We're trying to deal with it. And again, I think you as the residents have to know these facts and make the decision you feel is best for what you see for your own family and for your community. And again, we just want to lay it out because those are concerns we discuss. We're in this position here to be that fiscal watchdog. We're here to give you advice. We're not here in telling you how to vote. We just give you the advice so you can make the informed decision.
Ready to move on? Okay.
Laura DeBerry. I live at 168 Main Street in Northfield. I'm a former teacher. I support education. And I have a question. I'm late to the table because I haven't been following what's going on. I'm curious to know how much of the budget is related to maintenance and operation in terms of overhead that can't be controlled, electric, heat, things like that. How big a portion of the budget is that?
First slide.
Of the town budget?
No, of the school budget.
Oh,
specifically
we're
the
not
school.
answering questions for the school. We don't know.
Yeah, we gave you that information, page 11 of the budget book. Page 11.
The reason I'm asking is if the population is dropping that much, is there any way to use that building in multiple ways to move the population into one area of the building and limit the cost of that area and use the rest of the building, I don't know, police department, senior center, I don't know. Is there a way to make this number cover more than just the school budget, is what I'm asking.
Yeah, that's a good question. We got to start thinking outside the box, I think, in this town to try to maintain and try to keep the tax rate down. We will look at all ways of saving money. We'll look at all ways of utilizing our buildings. But as far as this section of the budget, we don't have a lot of say in what happens at the school at all. That's
operationally.
Yes. So we have asked, and actually we had a very candid meeting a week or so ago, talking to the school committee members, and what we want to work together in the beginning to see what their problems are, and let them know what our problems are. So that may come to fruition later on, but right now we're going to be continuing with the budget.
Next one. Yeah. Okay. Article 8, those are the projects that are going to be done, I believe, at PVRS. Parking lot repairs for 50, our server room air condition 31.2, window shade 16, HVAC and learning center 12, kitchen exterior door 10.2, carpet and tile 10, kitchen grease tap 10, 5 classroom heating components 6, and emergency exit lights. The full share was 151.4. Our share is 83.023. Are there any questions on? I should probably do Article 9 at the same time, which is the elementary school. Those two are typically year after year for the elementary school. They replace floors on a rotating basis here, and then the gym floors are, is it waxed or refinished every year.
But that's free cash.
And all these articles are free cash.
No.
Oh, no. The Article 8's on the tax rate, and Article 9's free cash. So any questions on those projects?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Hi, Mary Bowen, Burnham Road. Who in our orbit here decides which bid to take for, say, for example, the kitchen grease trap for $10,000? Are they required to get 3 bids and then they pick one?
It's up to Pioneer Valley Regional. That's under
That
their
is their
purview.
operational budget.
Well, not
their capital-
operational, that's their
excuse me,
capital, that's their capital.
Capital, yes.
That is,
Money, how they work that out.
Okay, and then right along that line, if you don't mind, when the town decides things like that newsletter we all got for the security cameras, et cetera, and all that great stuff, who decides what bid they're going to take? For example, for the security cameras at the town.
Every capital article that comes before us for the town, we ask for a quote, and for the person or the department to justify their reasoning for their piece of equipment, or in this case, the flooring. They get quotes for the floor in the gym. And we see those quotes. They go through the administrator. She okays them. She can explain that a little bit more.
I'm the chief procurement officer.
Oh,
So anything for the town has to fall within the law. Under 10,000, you can use reasonable business. 10 to 50,000, we solicit 3 quotes. Over 50 to 100. Over 50 to 100, they have to be in writing. Over that, we do full procurement for bids. So that's Mass General Law. That's procurement law.
More than one bid?
Well, if I can get them, yes. Generally, we get more than one, but if it's over 50, if it's under 50,000, I can solicit 3. I might only get one. If it's a small enough bid project, I might only get one person. If you don't like the number, you don't have to take it. We try to be reasonable from 50 to 100. Now, schools are a little different. They actually have a higher threshold. They can go up to 100,000 before they have to do certain bidding. We are actually at a lower threshold as a municipality, but they are also subject to Mass General Law for procurement. So I would make the assumption, and I think that's the case because I deal with them on the NES stuff, that they're following procurement law. I don't think there's any problem.
I was just curious. Thank you so much.
And they have a procurement official, and they go through many of the same process.
Yeah, I was just curious, like, how that process works.
Yep.
And if they had to select, like, when I want my house painted, I'm going to have 3 companies come in.
Right.
I'm going to take the lowest.
But you don't have to. But we have to. By law, we have to solicit 3. And when we put out bids.
Over 100,000 as well?
Well, no, over 100,000 we go to full procurement. Like that's like releasing a bid. That's actually releasing specs, taking quotations, publishing it in various places in the state. That's a full-on procurement. Between 50 and 100, we write down what our specs are, and we'll reach out to, or we can advertise to get as many as possible. 3. Under 50, we solicit 3. I can call 3 plumbers and say, hey, I need a new toilet and a new sink and a new this and that, and it's going to be $51,000, whatever the project is, and I can get 3 quotes for that. Mm-hmm. Over 100, when I get to 100, I got to do a full procurement, advertising and everything.
Okay, thank you.
And we were assured that the school has the documentation for all these bills.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and they even said.
Here's my question. Would you please post on the town website the information that we sent you about every one of these and how we came up with the numbers, because we have lots of documentation and we sent it to the town. Would you please post that on the website? We sent you like draft. We sent you all kinds of information about, I don't want anyone to think that we were careless. We sent the town this information for each one of these items.
So,
We saw it.
yeah, we'll take that.
Would you please post it on the website?
For the capital project?
Yes, for the capital projects.
That's up to Andre.
We'll take that back. We'll take that suggestion back. I think the key thing here on the capital request is that the request comes from the school to the town, and we're putting it forth, and we're also recommending it, right? We're getting into the details of how each of those things.
Microphone's not working, so you don't have to hold it. But we can still hear you, Bea. I just wanted to rest your hand.
I don't have much voice left after the last few meetings, so I just wanted to point out that part of the process is, just like with the operating budget from the school and the capital projects, the requests come from the school to the town. So we're not going to quiz necessarily. We know enough from working with PVRS how much due diligence they do and what they need. And we've had many discussions about the state of the buildings. That's an ongoing concern. So rest assured that both the school and the town follow procurement law and do quotes and bids depending on what your dollar threshold is. As your dollar threshold goes up, there's more paperwork, there's more advertising and that sort of thing. Mary.
It's so good to see you. So
I know.
With this
Microphone.
Sorry. Mary Bowen, Burnham Road. So with this particular, are citizens allowed to see the breakdown? I mean, are citizens allowed to see how you came to the conclusion or the quotes that you procured from different companies, and just so we can see how you made your educated guess? Does that make sense?
Are you talking about town procurement? We got an email from the school at the request of the finance committee explaining, the various projects, and that was fine. I don't think they asked them for their full procurements. But if you want town,
Oh, we're getting there.
well,
Can we see how you made your decision?
we have. It depends on the article. Yeah, certainly. I mean, every document every document is public record. If you wanted to come in and see how we've come up with estimates, sure.
That was my question.
So-
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Mary, we're going to get into more capital projects and more
Thank you, Dan.
capital things.
Thank you, Dan Campbell.
Yeah, can I just say one more thing, is that those are estimates. When you go to town meeting, you're actually authorizing people on each of these articles. You're authorizing the town, right?
Right.
So just when you get to the cameras, you're authorizing the town or you're authorizing the school to move forward with these estimates. Oftentimes they have to do follow-up because the length of time between getting the estimates during the budget process and then later on might change, right? So then you have to actually follow up and see if the quotes, we're going to be talking about a new EMS response vehicle. Yeah, there were quotes that went into that discussion with the finance committee, but then later on what will happen is then, the EMS chief, for example, or anybody else who's going to order something, then has to check to see whether or not those estimates are still valid. It's just
I
like,
understand that.
yeah,
My question was answered. Absolutely.
okay, I'm just pointing that out,
I
is
understand
that,
that process.
then there's another process and another
get it.
set of paperwork, so those will be available too, because those are public records. Okay.
I just
in case
want
you
a
more
quick
people.
word to, just so you know, that the residents know, attending, that the Finance Committee unanimously approved the school's capital budget. To recommend it. And also the Select Board did the same. So I want to make it clear that we were not against this capital expenditures. We support the capital expenditures for NES and for PVRS.
Thank you.
Good point. It's Matt. Matt,
You're up.
Articles 10 and 11. 10 is the enterprise fund for the EMS, and then Article 11 is for the EMS ambulance that they will be hopefully purchasing. So, Matt, Matt Wolkenbright?
Should we try a new tact and just say any questions, and I won't give you a 10-minute speech?
Yay.
Oh, okay.
Go for it.
Real quick, thank you all for your continued support. Thank you for those who engage with us. Can I lift this up? You can pull it off. Oh, I can break it, he said. That's what I heard. So what we did this year is tried to keep our costs as close to last year as possible. Obviously, they already talked about some of the increases with health insurance and other benefits that went in, and that really is the significant driver in the increase in our operating budget for EMS this year. Everything that we do, remember, comes out of our enterprise fund, and each of our 4 partner towns, Northfield, Irving, Gill, and Bernardston, each pay an assessment towards our operating budget. So it's the difference between what we expect to bring in from revenue and the cost to keep us available to you every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We really don't see a huge jump this year. I know the number is big, but it's not percentage-wise major.
Sorry, I just want to make a correction. That slide is wrong. It's an old one. You see where it says fiscal 2025, the tax levy last year was 25,000? That was the year prior. You're actually coming off of, and it's in the warrant correctly, 102,778. That's why he's saying it doesn't seem as big a jump. When you go,
Right.
what? It's actually not 25. It didn't get moved from 20. The number didn't get moved correctly. That should have been 102,778. Again, it's in the handout you're holding.
It's
the
correct in
number.
here. We triple-checked this. This was going through beautiful revisions, and I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I've been
Just wanted to make that correction
awake.
so you understood.
Yeah, thank you. So the other couple of quick things on this, I guess, would be that we did an amazing job with your support and the Finance Committee and the Select Board support at improving our maintenance schedule last year, enhancing it. You approved an ambulance for us previously, which should be here this fall. I just got notification. It's going into production. Thank you. So this year we had thought we were going to have to ask for another ambulance. We're actually pushing that off for at least another year. Then it'll be a couple of years to get it. But we've been able, with your support and some really good maintenance, and the work of all of our employees just being diligent and taking care of all of our equipment, that we've kind of shifted a little bit of the capital burden off this year. If you want to understand the request for the EMS response vehicle, that's the vehicle that I drive 24 hours a day to be available to you, up and above our staff that's there. Chief Hall donated the 2017 Cruiser that they were putting out of service last 2 Januaries ago now. We've put about 37,000 miles on it. Bunch of maintenance into it. The vehicle is getting very tired. This new vehicle will carry us much more efficiently, probably for the next 8 years at least going forward, not just as my ability to operate round the clock for everybody, but in time to be able to be a response vehicle as we need to augment staff for events and details. So it's purpose-built for us. It is a expense, but it's one that is designed specifically for EMS use to keep all of our medications and equipment safe, and be able to support the fires that we've had and other incidents around the area. And so I hope you can see the value in that. I will keep staying awake day and night for you and responding and working, and that's what I've got. Any questions?
I have a question. How many miles did you say was on the old unit?
I'm approaching 150,000 on
Okay,
it right now.
thank you.
And it's 150,000 road miles, and then all of the idle miles that go onto it. So rough estimate is about 320,000 road miles equivalent with all the idle time that goes on it.
Thank you.
Switch it. Did I turn it off?
Here for the next one.
It's on.
So it's got about 150,000 miles for everybody at home. Add all the idle miles, we're pushing about 300,000 miles equivalent on the vehicle right now.
Excellent. Thank you so
Sure.
much.
I could be heard hopefully back here.
It's not broadcasting. Come on up.
Thanks. Ed Hogan, Main Street, Northfield. I'm looking at this here, and Mary had a copy of the solicitation for what the EMS was looking for. And I saw something for $1 million that the EMS was looking for. No, am I mistaken by it? Not in this budget here, but that flyer that was sent out recently.
This flyer, Ed?
Yeah.
Did we add an extra zero in there?
Where was that?
I think it's your total number up on there.
Are you looking at our budget?
Yeah.
Yeah, our total budget is just over $1 million.
And how much are you asking from the town of Northfield for that?
Is 150,000.
Okay. And you're a for-profit an independent agency, or
No,
you're?
sir, we're a municipal agency.
Okay, so when people take a ride in the ambulance and they get a bill for, say, $8,000, that you are then taking that money and doing what with it?
Perfect. Happy to answer that. Thank you for asking it. So, how quickly and effectively can we answer this? So the way EMS finance works is that we do bill for transportation services under the federal law. We bill insurance, we can bill private payers for it. We collect that revenue. Of the revenue we collect, it is not enough to fund a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week operation because we can't bill for all of the times we come to the home or to the car accident and don't transport someone. So simply put, the money that we bring in goes into an enterprise fund, which is a town account used to just hold money specifically for EMS. And that money goes into the enterprise fund and is what helps offset our total operating budget. But the difference between what we can bring in for revenue and what it costs to operate is what we ask each town to pay for the assessment so that we can be available. It's the insurance premium, basically, that you pay at home for your health insurance. You pay every week or every month a premium, and then there's something else that costs on the other side of it, would be the simplest way I could put it.
Okay, so you're getting $150,000 from the town of Northfield, and you provide $150,000 worth of services to the town every year?
I would say we provide millions of dollars worth of service to the town, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, you know, we.
So is it itemized how many people in the town of Northfield that you serve?
You want to understand our assessment formula. How do we come up with what each town pays?
You're asking for this assessment to be reimbursed for services to the town. In $150,000, every single day, are you picking up somebody from Northfield and not charging their insurance for that?
Every single day, we have somebody sitting here ready to provide that service to the town of Northfield, 24 hours a day. So what we do is provide the insurance, and I understand it's not trying to be argumentative, but the fact that we are here and we are available costs money. So even if we never go out and nobody ever gets sick, there is a real cost to have us available every day. And that real cost is the majority of the expense for us. Our wages, just to have people here who are trained 24 hours a day, is expensive.
Again, I'm just going to say that I question whether there are other agencies and other groups that, there's AMR and Greenfield and stuff like that.
Absolutely. And
just as a resident, I would question whether or not there's actual value there just to have somebody sitting around.
I would welcome you on the town meeting floor to ask the town whether there's value to it. Absolutely.
Hi, Brian Brault, Mount Herman Station. Is this on? Yeah. Okay. I can state. It's not why I came up here. I'm just going to give a show. Yep. Is it? Oh, okay. Hi. Okay. Thank you. Brian Brault, Mount Herman Station Road. I could spend 20 minutes addressing what just came up. I used to be an EMT. I used to be a dispatcher. What has been built in Northfield over the last couple of decades is amazing. And what we actually have here now, I'm amazed, having been a basic EMT decades ago. And when you're looking at for-profit services like AMR, whatever, I think, historically, I think I'm accurate in saying we used to have a great deal with what was Bay State Health Ambulance. But we had a service up here. The service began. It was just a response to help meet them. They've met their demise. AMR is now a for-profit ambulance. The whole world has changed. Again, there's a lot of detail behind that, but I don't think you're gonna find a better deal than what you got here right now. My question, when I came up here, just trying to understand a little bit about this vehicle. I'm gathering it is not a transport vehicle, so it's not a Class 5 ambulance. It is a Class 5. It is a Class 5 ambulance, so it could transport. No.
It is okay. It is a non-transporting vehicle that carries all of the paramedic level equipment and then some from the ambulance, so that when I need to get or you need to get someone to you quickly and our ambulances are busy, that's how I get to you with all the equipment, or one of my staff does, versus having to go straight to the station, get in an ambulance, wait for a second person to go. Part of the fiscal responsibility in the budget is we staff one ambulance 24 hours a day, but frequently we need 2 or even 3 ambulances. So the ability of me or my staff to respond in this vehicle directly to the scene and begin care, because we have all of the medications and equipment in it, and then have another ambulance, possibly a mutual aid ambulance, come in, or have somebody else respond to the station and bring the ambulance to the scene, allows a faster response time and a more urgent start to your care at home, rather than having to go get the ambulance like the on-call model that we used to have. So it is a Class 5 technically. It's not the Suburban, which we could have slid somebody into many moons ago that you're referring to.
Thank you.
Of course, thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Anyone else?
I think we're
good.
Yep.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your service, sir.
Articles 12 and 13. Karen, if you can be available for any questions. The sewer operating for last year was 597, 602. This year the request is 602, 021, very minimal. And then they are asking, what was it, 40,000 for manhole cover project, which they usually coordinate with highway when they need to do work. And if you need more explanation on that, Karen can provide that. So, any questions on sewer? Anything you want to add?
I'll make it real quick.
How do I do this without breaking it? Okay. The budget went up a little because this is the first time in a number of years we have a real budget that has line items that you need in a sewer. We have gone to line item trending in the sewer commission. The budget's looked at every meeting and sometimes in between. And this year, with the help of Andrea and Michelle Turner, they reorged the indirect costs and broke that out so it can be tracked better and much lower. Isaac changed some of the personnel to 2 part-time because we've tried to hire in a skill deficit business. Desert is more like it. And so we've gone to 2 part-time. Everett, bless his heart, has come back to 19 hours a week. We dissected a few other line items so that they're better tracked. We know what we have 4 line items that are evil, and we refer to them as the 4 Griffins, and we watch them minutely. We watch them. And so we were able to increase only by thank you for doing the math. I'm sitting back there counting my fingers. $4,400 approximately. For the ratepayers out there, the per EDU increase for the year is $2.92. That's it. Okay? Bye. Thanks.
We all set, or is any
questions?
Okay. Guess we're ready to move on. All right. Okay. Is Tom here? Okay. So the first Article 14 is for a truck lift gate, and it attaches to the back of a vehicle, and it helps lift heavy equipment. We recommended it. It's a safety precaution, especially with work comp injuries and such, anything to help with lifting and such. And then Article 15, roadside mower, is to replace a current motor, and it was on a mower, and it's on the capital schedule for this year. So we recommended it.
And that comes from free cash.
And both articles
So
come from free cash.
So the answer to your question about do we get quotes, yes, we had quotes for this. However, because we've asked these people early in the process, some of these quotes might go up slightly. So say he gave us a quote of $7,500, and it's going to go up to $7,800, okay? The balance becomes free cash for the next year. And that's why we use free cash to pay for a lot of the capital items. So the quote is more than a guesstimate, but sometimes we can only appropriate so much money. So if the bid comes in at $310,000, then he has to come back or find out where
Right.
$10,000. But if he's looking at a piece of machinery that's $295,000, but he wants to make sure that it doesn't go up, if it is $295,000, that money goes back into the general fund and becomes free cash for the next year. It's never, ever, it's used very sparsely as far as doing, but everything comes out of free cash usually and that's money that is left over from the previous year that has already been voted on the previous year. So it's money that that everybody here says, oh, you can use it for this year. We didn't use it all, but we're going to use it for this year to keep your tax rate down.
Thank you so much, Dan. Because, for example, for the roadside mower, I was on Leiden's town website, and they bought one. I think it was a year ago, maybe, and I might be wrong about that. And they bought a roadside mower, and it was $146,000. So when I saw 300, I was just wondering, like, how does that, you know?
From our understanding that was presented to us, there's more attachments that go along with this, so it can be used more than just for mowing. But again, if it's less than this, the money goes back into the general fund and is used the next year. This was something that was on the calendar to get replaced. Theirs is about 10 or 15 years old. However, I do know that DPW does look for very good used equipment, and if there's one available that fits the bill, then he or the department would purchase that before they would go brand new, if it was available. And then
that's my concern. It was just simply like, are we being prudent when we come up with these figures? I mean, are we taking this one roadside mower and going, we love it, it's $300,000, or are we looking for less expensive ones, refurbished ones? Are we looking at what Leiden bought and comparing it, and maybe we can get a better deal?
The thing is, unless you have money in your pot, you can't even just talk about buying a product. You have to have money there. If he sees one for sale tomorrow, he can't go out and buy it. He doesn't have the money to do it. So you have to have some funds there. If he does find one, which I hope he could, then the balance would go back in, and we would use it next year to keep taxes down. We always use to try to keep.
I didn't do it. No.
Try to keep the taxes down. So that's why we use a majority of free cash goes into capital equipment.
Right.
So, but again, the money has to be there before you can start talking about buying anything.
Okay. Thank you, Dan.
Yep.
Well, the other thing is, I want to say that the Finance Committee, we have certain confidences in some of our department heads. Example is Mr. Walker. He has served the town for many years and has done a very good job for this community. So we look to him. He looks to see if he can get a better deal on a piece of used equipment, or if necessary, and he doesn't have a choice. You know, he plans his capital years in advance. If he has to place it, he does. But I also have to tell you, equipment prices have gone through the roof. The problem you have is everything that we thought things cost, you know, is already, like I said, obsolete. You know, you take a look.
Let's just swing.
Oh, swinging around. No, what I'm trying to say is, and again, a truck that a few years ago that Mr. Walker would potentially purchase would be $150,000. These trucks now are getting up to almost $300,000. And the other problem here is he has to, before he could get a truck within a reasonable period of time, maybe 90 days, 6 months. He's been waiting for a truck for 2 years. That's the other problem. Large pieces of equipment, example like fire trucks and DPW vehicles, many of them are a long wait till you actually receive them after you purchase it.
Thank you.
So, and again, we have certain trust levels in our department heads, and Mr. Walker has earned that trust from the Finance Committee.
I had nothing to say about Tom Walker. He's brilliant.
Next.
Okay, next one. For the police cruisers, Tom here? I mean, John?
No, they asked me if I had speak to that.
Okay, so Bernie, can you, yeah.
The police chief has asked for a replacement police cruiser, and as you could see, it's $88,000. The current Northfield Police Department has 5 Ford Explorer police cruisers. They've been on a program to replace cruisers over time with hybrid versions that are more fuel efficient. And again, these cruisers, he estimates, have a lifespan of each individual cruiser of 8 to 10 years. But there are 5 cruisers in his fleet, so every 2 to 3 years he has to replace a car. Now, the other thing is, people are surprised, $88,000. The cruiser alone, which is a state bid, it's a state set price, is $67,000. Just a little over 10 years ago, that same cruiser cost $37,000. That is what's happening with prices. The other thing is, the other amount is to replace the radio and equipment that goes into the car. And people don't realize you have to put a laptop in there, in that car for, for communications, radio, radar equipment, lighting, and all sorts of other equipment that has to go in. That's where the additional cost is over the $67,000 for the car. And again, these cars, when they get to they get old, they're pretty worn out and can be not reliable and also expensive to maintain. Chief Hall's been conservative with his replacement policy. Getting 8 to 10 years out of a cruiser is, I think, pretty miraculous, because most departments go through them in 3 to 5 years, in all honesty. And the thing is that he's clearly, come with us with very detailed quotes on all the line item equipment and the vehicle. Now, we don't have to get 3 quotes because it is a state bid. You're purchasing it through the state agency to buy it. So this is not like we're going to go out and get bids from the local car dealers. We're buying it from a state bid company that the state has authorized. So again, the price is set. And that's basically it. He's looking for a new cruiser.
And it's free cash.
And it's free cash to pay for it.
Yeah, it's not a tax.
Hi, I'm Lynn Hansel, Old Elm Way. I have utmost confidence in the police department, so no shade whatsoever. I just have a question, because for the casual resident, such as myself, I sometimes see cruisers parked randomly hither and thither as speed deterrents. And it can, I'm not saying, it can raise a question of, it seems like there might be some extra cruisers available to park in certain places for 2 weeks at a time. So I'm looking for that reasonable explanation as to why, like, how can that be that one of our cruisers park somewhere for 2 weeks and not move, and simultaneously be requesting? Thank you.
I can only address a specific situation where we live down Millers Falls Road near the Field Library. We've had a lot of issues with speeding traffic. We specifically asked for some deterrent to try to slow traffic down, and he would leave a car there for a few hours or whatever to help deter that speed.
We have an answer. I got it.
Oleg.
Hello.
Hello, Oleg Kovlyansky, this police sergeant here in town. To answer your question, sometimes we park the cruisers places where we get complaints about speeders and stuff like that. The cruiser that we park, it's usually our part-time cruiser that stays parked at a station. So some days when the part-timers don't work, that's the cruiser that gets parked. And that's the cruiser that we're trying to replace, the 2019.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Anything else with the cruiser? Okay. Next one. Okay. Okay, next two are with the transfer station. One is cameras, 10,000. Purchase and install cameras at town transfer. It would be video security when the station is closed. Help monitor contractors switching boxes during off hours, and allow for better observation of transfer operations. And then the next one is town hall heating and cooling improvements. It's the meeting room where it's very uneven and it's not efficient. Heating and cooling systems are not working or not working efficiently in offices and meeting rooms, and that's at $26,000. And I think, is the camera, and they're both from free cash, and is the cameras a joint purchase? Is the cameras a joint purchase with highway?
There was a quote that was for highway, and there was a quote for the transfer
Okay, so it's
station.
a
So it was
separate
in
quote.
one quote, but
Okay.
they broke it out for
They broke
each
it out.
one.
Okay. So any questions on the cameras or the fixing the heating in town hall? Okay, next one. Savings, okay, capital stabilization, and that is, what are we doing with that one? Oh, yeah, we're gonna be moving a total of 500,000 in that. 400 is coming from raise and 100,000, free cash is 100, and raise and appropriate is 400. We've been pretty much doing this all along. It provides money for the larger capital needs or requests, and so it also saves money, so it's available when needed. So if we do have a year where our free cash just can't meet all the needs, it's an account we can go to. It also helps with larger purchases, such as fire trucks, and we take some out of that and borrow. It just gives us many options, and it's for all large, for the larger departments to determine the projects and the capital projects that are to be made from that capital stabilization. Again, it takes 2/3 to get anything out of that account. So if we are taking anything, town meeting would have to approve it by 2/3. Okay. OPEB, we already discussed this one. This is part of the consent article where we're putting $100,000, and I believe that's raise and appropriate. Is that one raise and appropriate? Yeah, raise and appropriate, so that will be, and it's an article we've done a number of years. Next one. CPA, Lindsay.
The Community Preservation Fund, that's money we already have. It comes through a little assessment on your income tax, so it's already put away. Excuse me, property tax. And so this is just permission to use that that's already there for, we have two projects. One is to create special markers for Revolutionary War or soldiers that are field and are buried in Center Cemetery. Because it's the 250th of the country, we thought it would be a nice way to further recognize those people who served. And then the other one is to fund mini split for the library's history room. Yeah, and Misha, if you'd like to speak to that, that's fine. It just helps to maintain the climate control for the historic records. So there's those two. One is 2,000, one is 6.
It's pretty straightforward. So there's been lots of mini split asking, though, in the past couple of years. So this...
It's not on. Is it on? Is it on?
It is on. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. So the 6,000 is actually part, so in November, we asked for a larger chunk of money to replace our HVAC system in the library with mini splits. And the 6,000 we asked to come from the Community Preservation Fund because it's going to be in the history room, so it's be protecting local history in our archives.
Thank you.
Thank you, Misha. Next. Yeah, these are not financial. Okay. The Article 24, Town Clerk editorial revisions. It's for minor edits, revisions to for appropriate and consistent organization of bylaws. I don't know if you...
Well, the town has to allow the town clerk to number different bylaws, and if you have a new bylaw that goes in, then you have to give it a new number. So this just allows the town clerk to do that paperwork to get it done so that everybody can find whatever they're looking for in a bylaw. So it's just a clerical thing that has to be done to the bylaws for the town of Northfield. I can take the next one.
Okay. Finance Committee bylaw review. The person that put together this article was unable to be here tonight, but it's just putting formalization on our Finance Committee on how many members. The number came up because all the other boards are 5, planning, select board. And then we wanted to make clear about, with 3-year terms each, appointed by the moderator. The moderator is elected, and that is under his purview to appoint Finance Committee members. And then the other part is to not have elected members serve other elected boards. So we clarified that. So, you know, Dan's been a great asset. It will prevent that in the future.
Thank you.
Nice way to put it.
It's been great working with him. But it just formalizes that, but it still allows, like if somebody wants to be on like the Recreation Commission and on the Finance or Historical, it still allows them to volunteer for those functions. They just can't be on another elected board. So it just clarifies those type of things.
The reason that this was done, we never did have a bylaw for the town, for the Finance Committee. Just giving what the governance is of the Finance Committee. So we looked through other towns and we came up with this, and I was able to stay on the Finance Committee because of a small town, I was able to check with the state and they said, yes, you can do this. But I felt that it would be better served if you were only elected to one board. Now, the Finance Committee is appointed by the moderator, and the reason for that, not elected, not under the jurisdiction of the select board, so they kind of have autonomy and can make the decisions and don't feel the pressure. Also, because they're appointed, the moderator can look for people that have some experience in finance. So that's one of the main reasons that we are going to a lot more appointed positions, because you need people in this day and age that know what they're doing so they can help out the town. So this came through, and when this passes on Monday night, I'm done.
Oh, I know. We're sad. We're very sad.
Stop smiling.
So I can just concentrate on the other 5 or 10 other things I have to do for the town. So that's fine.
Okay.
But thank you for the gift.
And then the fire one.
The fire department, I believe B will address that.
I almost don't want to touch. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So most of you probably know this is Skip's 50th year. This is his anniversary, and oddly enough, it was April 1st. So not an April Fool's joke, as Skip says. So this is an important transition year for Skip, and what we ended up doing back last August or so was finding a consultant who was a former fire chief and had worked in a number of different communities with respect to fire and also EMS, which was helpful in emergency management. So that was helpful. The nice part, too, was that he had just become a select board member. So we felt that this was a good consultant to have because not only could he speak fire, he could also speak select board, and we could start finding that nice balance between things that are specifically fire, things that are specifically administrative for the town, and where those might overlap, like safety and risk and things like that. So one of the things that came out of hiring the consultant and having him work with Skip in the fire department is one of the first things he asked us was, where are the town records on this particular Mass General law? And so you might hear it discussed as weak chief versus strong chief. It really it's not the fact that, for example, Skip has not been a strong chief in demeanor and also the way he runs the fire department. It's just a odd classification. It has to do with the contracts and the level of control that they have over their firefighters. So, for example, a strong chief makes all of the decisions. In a weak chief situation, which is what basically Northfield has been doing, is the fire department recommends to the select board at the end of the year, based on all of their criteria, who should be appointed each year as a firefighter. So that's basically how we've been working, and all of that was discussed. I'm looking at nodding heads. All of that was discussed multiple times, and I think I sat in on one meeting, and I know I've talked with Skip multiple times, and then the fire department and Skip and Mike Quinn all came to a recent select board meeting and recommended this, and the select board is recommending this in concert with the fire department. It's a technicality, but if you hear the weak chief versus strong chief, this in no way diminishes Skip's strong leadership, but it's technically the relationship has to do with how you appoint firefighters. And any questions? Okay, that's it. That's it. Is that it? That's it.
Anybody have anything?
Nope. I guess we're all set.
Thank you all. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you all for coming out tonight. I also want to especially, unfortunately, Robin couldn't be here, but I want to thank Lindsay and Robin for putting the slides together. And again,
and Andrea.
And Andrea. Andrea put a lot of time into it. Lindsay put a lot of time into it. Robin, he helped with the reviewing and some of the edits. So I'd like to thank all of them who participated. And if I forgot somebody, I apologize. So thank you and have a good evening.
All right. I make a motion that the Finance Committee adjourn at 7:30.